This video is going to explain how to solve problems using the equation F equals delta P over R. If you're interested in what this equation means, check out our other video on the concepts of the equation F equals delta P over R. Now, this is an equation with three variables. So anytime you are given two variables from this equation, or you can find out two variables from this equation, you can use this equation to find the third one. So let's go over the different ways that this equation can be used. Alright, so our first scenario here, we're given P1, we're given P2, and we're given R, and we don't know F. Now, why are we given P1 and P2? Well, if you remember, our equation was F is delta P over R, and delta P means a difference in pressure. And as we talk about in our concept video, whenever you have flow, you have to have a difference in pressure between two places. That's what is the driving force for your flow. So then it comes down to, all right, so now I need to calculate delta P, and I have the two pressures. How do I know which one to subtract from which one? Well, it's simple. Flow is always going to go from high pressure to low pressure. So whenever we're calculating the pressure difference, you just need to take the higher number and subtract the lower number from it. So in this case, our delta P is going to be P1 minus P2. Now P1 was 7 and P2 was 3. So our delta P is 7 minus 3, which is 4. Great, so we have delta P and we have R. So we just have to use this equation now to get F. So when you have your variables, the first thing you want to do is go right back to the equation, F equals delta P over R, and then plug in what we know. Well, we know delta P is 4, and we know R is 2, so F is 4 over 2, which is 2. Not too bad, right? So let's check out another scenario. Now in this scenario, we're given R and we're given F, and we have to figure out what delta P is. So first thing, when you have your variables, go to the equation. So F equals delta P over R. And we know that F, in this case, and R were given to us. So let's plug in for those. F was 4, R was 5. So now we have to get delta P. Well, to solve for delta P, you need to get delta P by itself in the equation. And right now, delta P is being divided by 5. And as you guys remember from algebra, you can multiply or divide or add or subtract. Basically, you can do anything to one side of the equation as long as you do it to the other side of the equation. So I'm dividing by 5, and I want to get rid of that dividing by 5 to get delta P by itself. So I can multiply the right side of the equation by 5, but to make sure the equation stays equal, I have to multiply the left side times 5 also. So let's do that. Now, we multiplied both sides by 5. Well, what was the point of that? Well, if you look on the right, delta P now is being multiplied by and divided by 5. So if you multiply and divide a number by 5, it's essentially nothing's happening. You're multiplying and dividing by the exact same number, so those two numbers just cancel each other out. The two 5s cancel each other out, and you have 4 times 5 equals delta P. Well, we just have to multiply 4 times 5 and get 20, and we have delta P equals 20. So that was a little more complicated, but still not too bad. What if we give this scenario now? So we have F is 20, P1 is 100, P2 is 60. Now, intuitively, anytime you're given P1 and P2, the first thing you should think about is, well, let's just subtract and so that we can get delta P, because delta P is what we need for the equation. Well, we know 100 is bigger than 60, so we're going to do 100 minus 60 to get delta P. So P1 minus P2 is 100 minus 60, and that gives us 40. Okay, so then what do? We go back to the equation. What's the equation? F is delta P over R, and we said delta P is 40. And so let's plug in, we also know what F is. F was 20. So we know that 20 equals 40 over R. Well, again, we want to get R on its own. But in this case, R is in the denominator of the equation. And so we want to get rid of, we don't want to be dividing by R. So what do? We can multiply both sides of the equation by the same thing, so we multiply both sides by r. So 20 times r equals 40 divided by r times r. Now look at the right side over here, we have the same scenario. 40 is being multiplied by r and divided by r. Those two actions cancel each other out. So the two r's are canceled out, and we get 20 times r equals 40. Well, we still haven't achieved our final goal. Our final goal is to get r by itself. So r right now is being multiplied by 20. So to get rid of that 20, we have to divide by it. Because if we multiply and divide by 20, the 20 is gone. But to keep the equation same, we have to divide the other side by 20 also. So here we go. We've divided both sides are being divided by 20. So on the left here, we have r's being multiplied and divided by 20. So those two 20s cancel each other out. And what are we left with? R equals 40 over 20, which equals 2. Those are all the different ways you can be asked to use the equation F equals delta P over R. If you're familiar and comfortable with all three of those methods, you cannot be tricked with this equation. Thanks for watching.